Oh, is it streaming now?
It, and we should be live now. Hello, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us once again for this episode of Recentered. I'm just checking audio levels, make sure that everyone can hear us okay. Go ahead, Rog.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Lee.
Hope it's all good.
Hello. I'm back. Yay.
Sounds good to me. Hopefully everyone else can hear you all right. And I'll pass it over to Rog to host the show anyway.
Okay. Hello, welcome to episode 44 of Recentered, a VR podcast. My name's Rog, and along with Lee and Gary, we'll be taking a look at the things that have caught our attention in the world of VR over the past month or so. But before we get into that, let's have a quick catch-up. So, Gary, what have you been up to this past month?
Been looking at GPUs a hell of a lot. That's basically been my obsession. So I'll just cut a long story short because we've got a lot of stuff to get over in this podcast anyway. But yeah, I did manage to pick up a 5080. Well, I ordered it yesterday. It arrived this morning, so I've not really got a lot to say on it at the moment. I've fitted it in my PC, done 3D mark test like you do, just to.
That's why it showed up in Steam.
I wondered if you were going to see that actually. Yeah.
I never twigged.
Yeah, so I took before last night when I knew I'd ordered it. I took some footage of on my 3080 with like FPS VR running, No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, and Half-Life Alyx. Just those those titles, just to get a baseline of what the 3080 was doing. And then I'm hoping to maybe record a video either later today or tomorrow, sometime maybe early next week, just to compare directly with those. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't really say a lot about it at the moment other than to say that it overclocks well. I've had about half hour with it with the MSI Afterburner, and that was part of the reason why I picked it up anyway, because all the reviews were saying how much you can overclock this, and it's still run pretty stable. So I've overclocked it by quite a bit, just testing it out, ran the benchmarks, and the temperatures are really, really good on it from what I've done so far. I'm getting good 3D Mark scores approaching sort of 4090 levels, really. I know that Odin on our Discord did the same thing, and I think he actually went over the 4090 on a certain test on 3D Mark. The thing is, it's a lot of different tests, so I'm sure it won't match 4090 and everything, or probably not most things. I don't know yet. I've got to really look into it. But yeah, I've got one anyway, so I'm looking forward to testing that out.
So you've not had any burnt out power connectors or anything, or is that just on the 5090s?
Well, I think some people are saying it does affect the 5080s as well, but it seems to be more on the 5090s, which happened on the 4090s as well. So you'd think they would have sorted this problem out by now, but yeah, hopefully not. Keep an eye on it, I suppose.
Yeah, I was watching a Jay-Z 2 Cents video, or whatever he's called, and he seemed to be suggesting it's down to the quality of the actual power connectors, because he had one where it just moved the wire slightly on the back of the power connector, and the pin inside the plug actually moved backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So it's like some power connectors, it seems to be the pin. If the pin's too far back, it's not getting a full-on solid contact, and it's causing issues.
Yeah.
So it seems to be the cables more than the cards, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I watched a few of his videos as well about it, and it seems to be up in the air at the moment. I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of it, but they were saying that the temperatures on some of the cables as well on the 5090 were getting like 150 degrees. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know.
That's crazy.
But I'll probably speak about it more next time anyway. But other than that, just quickly, so we spoke about Arcane Age last time, and I have played a bit more of that. Unfortunately, my PS5, because I was playing through it on PSVR 2 on the PS5, my PS5 is back in the living room now, so I've not got as much access to it as when it was over in my office. So I've played about 6 hours of Arcane Age. I do still really like it, but I think part of it is a little bit of that fear that we maybe had last time when we spoke about it, how it's the same, it feels like it's the same thing again and again, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because it is enjoyable doing that same thing. The environments are very samey as well. It doesn't really change from what I've seen, and I think I'm probably about halfway through the game now, 6 hours in. I think it's about 12 hours long. So I still think it's a fantastic game, but maybe it starts to show some of the nature of how it was built, because it was built by 4 people effectively, I believe, and they've done an incredible job with that team. But of course, they have to still make it manageable in some ways, and I think they've done that in terms of environmental assets and keeping the gameplay relatively simple but still really, really fun to play. So yeah, I still think it's a really good game. I don't know if you've played any more, Roger, of Arcane Age, or
I've not been back into it. I mean, I'll get into what I've been playing, and mostly, and it isn't VR. And I've gone back in time a bit with my gaming habits.
Yeah. Then quickly, so I made a video on the Steam. So Steam Link. Sorry, I should have fast forwarded. This is just the video review I did on Steam. On the Steam Link, I'll fast forward it. But so Steam Link app on the Quest 3 now. I think it was updated last year sometime, where you can now stream directly from your Steam Deck. And it will, you can play Steam Deck in a big screen on your Quest 3. I made a video on that, and it is really, really good. And in fact, just not doing it on a Steam Deck, just doing it directly from your PC and streaming now, flat games, it's a really good experience, because you can then pop up all these other windows around if you want to have other windows playing other stuff, Netflix or whatever, or you play some sort of repetitive kind of retro game and stuff like that. It's really, really good. So if anybody's not tried that, I'd recommend that as well. And then finally, I also made a video on Brass Tactics, which I went back into this game, and I loved it when it released, but geez, I mean, it makes me miss these times sometimes when we go back to these Oculus exclusives that were this good. It's such a fantastic game. I encourage anybody to give this a try. I think it's probably just a little bit overpriced. That's the thing. They need to just make it a much lower cost title now. But yeah, it's one of my favourite VR games. I forgot how much I enjoy it, but I can't stop playing it. It's really, really good. But yeah,
it was a great game back in its day. I mean, I'll get onto my stuff later, but I'd have installed it. Apart from the fact I've not actually got the Oculus software installed on my PC at the moment, because you just don't need it. If you're running virtual desktop or Steam VR, you don't actually need the Oculus software installed to use your Quest 3
No.
as a headset. So I'm avoiding doing that as long as I can. So it's something else what would be running in the background, and it's like, nah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Just a quick mention anyway.
Anyway, before we get into Lee, a message from our sponsors. Have you been in an accident? Do you need a personal injury lawyer? Was your haircut so offensively bad somebody decided to run you over? Lee, how you been doing?
That was quite good. I can't believe you thought I might get offended by that, Rog. Don't worry about that. Leave me to bits. I mean, it takes a lot to offend me, unless you're boss. But apart from that, apologies again for last time. I wasn't able to make the podcast, so thanks to Steve. I mean, it was coming on anyway, right? I got some really bad news. One of my close friends suddenly passed away unexpectedly, and like literally 2 days maybe before the podcast. And I wasn't in the best frame to come in and do it. But other than that, I got a job interview, so that was pretty good, right? So I decided to go for a haircut the day before, and as I come out of the hairdresser's, I got hit by a car. And that was 3 weeks ago. So I've done quite a lot of damage to my wrist, knee, ankle. Some people would say head, probably listen to this podcast, maybe. And not been doing so well with that. But I mean, I did have a spa day booked. Did I tell you about when I went to the spa day?
No.
Did I mention
Oh,
that?
you mentioned it. Like, you just mentioned that you've been to one, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a spa day booked like the week later, so I kind of hobbled to this spa day, and this is no word of a lie. Within 5 minutes, I'd almost broke my little toe and smashed my knee in the jacuzzi, and I'd only been there 5 minutes. I got one of them plunge pools. You've seen one of them like freezing cold plunge pools. Well, it's very deceiving how deep it is, and I thought there were 2 steps to get in it, so I sort of went down the first 2 steps, put my foot out to reach the bottom, and didn't. And then slipped, and then my foot went back and I smashed my foot on the step. So I got out of there within 2 minutes. My little toe was as big as my big toe. And my missus was like, oh, you're I don't know what I'm going to do with you. Let's go in the jacuzzi. So I went to go in the jacuzzi, slipped on the step to get in the jacuzzi and banged my knee. So all my knee was swelled up and my foot was swelled up. And I'd only been there 5 minutes for a nice, relaxing spa day.
Wow.
So that's what happened. Yesterday, the boiler broke in the house, and I don't know if anyone else in the UK that's listening, but it's bloody freezing at the minute. So it's like 10 degrees in the house. The boiler's packed in. The bloke come out and said, I can't get the part till Tuesday. So I'm going to sit like in an igloo for 5 days. Today, I got my bank details scammed. You'd think, I can't make this up. It's like I'm in my own personal Final Destination movie. What could try and kill me off next? So I had my bank details scammed, so I've had to swap on my bank card. And stuff like that. So that's what's been happening with me the past month. And here's to the rest of 2025.
It's only up from here. It can only get better.
Exactly. I mean, I did also notice on the last podcast that the likes on the video were higher than when I'm on.
Were they?
Yeah. I was furious. But no, so they were higher. But I'm back. Unfortunately or not, I'm back now. And VR-wise, I did play a little bit. I mean, I played... It was on sale for like 99p. Is it called The Secret of Retropolis? I know it's been out a while.
Yeah.
It's on Quest 3, and I played it using Quest Games Optimizer. And it's like a 1920s, 30s detective type of puzzle game, but you're all robots. There's no more humans left. Not surprisingly, if they're like me with my luck, it's not surprising. But you're sort of in one place at a time, and your hands are on like big coils, and you can just reach out and grab things, and you've basically just got to decipher the clues what's given to you.
Yeah, it's
not a very long game. It's about, have you guys played it? I know you picked it up, right, Gary?
I picked it up.
Yeah, I've bought both of them at some point in the past, and I've never played either, and it's ridiculous. I know I should get round to it. It's just in my backlog of shame. Yeah,
really good. I mean, the first one I managed to get through in just over an hour maybe, but I didn't have to use YouTube for that one. The second one's a few, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, depends how long you take playing it. And it does carry on from the first one, so I don't really want to give any spoilers on that. But man, some of those puzzles, I'd be like Mac in VR. I had to look on YouTube, and one of them I thought, oh yeah, I didn't realise that. But one of them, I was like, there's no way, I'd have been here for days. It's just the daftest puzzle ever, and that's towards the end. But other than that, I really enjoyed them. I mean, when I played the first one, it popped up with 30% offer on Retropolis 2, Never Say Goodbye. And I thought, well, for £13, I might as well pick it up. So I got them both pretty cheap. And yeah, definitely recommend them if you've not played them. They are a few years old, but you know, I'm always late to the party.
Yeah.
And then I've had a new chair as well. I bought a new gaming chair after like 15 years of the old one. My missus does a lot of gaming on my PC. So if you ever see me playing Valheim, unfortunately, I've not played Valheim yet, even though it looks like I've got 200 hours in it. It's the missus playing it. And I think the make of the game, the name of the chair is a Rosie, something like that, Bordeaux. And yeah, it was on offer for like 150 quid cheaper at my local Currys, which is weird because we spoke about this on our Discord, didn't we? About how it just seems really strange that you can get parts cheaper from Currys than you can from like Overclockers or Scan or anywhere like that.
Yeah.
So I picked it up from there, pretty cheap, and yeah, it's quite comfy. I'm enjoying that, and yeah, that's what I've been up to. Really, I've not really, like I said, not been able to play much VR because I can't because of my hand. Yeah. I've still got to have another scan on it to see what's messed up with it, but I'm hoping to try and get back in the next couple of weeks or so because unfortunately I've not been able to play a game with Rog that I really liked playing, and I'm sure Rog will get into that next.
Yes, I will. So for me, mainly I've been playing a lot of Guild Wars 2, which is like a 12-year-old game now. It's obviously a flat game, but when it first came out, I was obsessed with it. I played it for about a year solidly and then sort of left it. And I don't know, I've just been back into that, which is kind of daft really, since I finally, after... I think I must have said since we started doing this podcast that I was threatening to upgrade my PC, like the motherboard and processor and RAM and everything, and I've finally done it. So I've finally gone Team AMD on the processor after being sort of like Intel for life type sort of person. So yeah, I've got a 9800X3D, 64 gig, new 4 terabyte NVMe drive, new case power supply, all of it apart from the graphics card. So everything's new apart from me 4070 Ti, which is still in there. But yeah, so the PC's working really nice. It's a bit bizarre because I think it does show that my old processor was underpowered for trying to power that card, even the 4070 Ti, because my graphics card now actually ramps up more than it ever did before. So it was definitely, I think it was definitely limited in what the rest of the system could throw at it to render on my old setup. But yeah, it's good. But the bizarre thing is now, if I look at the stats, a lot of the time, if my CPU sat there doing 60-70% load, my processor sat there at 10%. It's
Well, this is
so.
This is the thing I'm thinking now as well, because you're just getting this circular. It never ends, basically.
Yeah.
I pick up a new graphics card. Now I'm thinking, well, I'm being held back by my CPU. That means I've got to get a new motherboard. I've got to get new RAM. I've got to get everything else.
Yeah.
This is how it gets you. And I'm gonna hold off, hopefully. But yeah, it starts to plant those thoughts in you. Once you're up to date on the GPU, then you think I've got to upgrade everything else now as well.
Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah. Also, if you're watching this footage on YouTube, it is unreleased footage of me and Rog with the bunny mission.
Yeah, because I did that.
Funny.
Yeah, I did manage to drag Lee into Guild Wars 2, and then the lengths he's gone to over the past month to get out of playing it again. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed playing it, and I have actually upgraded. Well, I mean, I've got the game anyway, but it's a bit weird, isn't it? If you've got it on, who's the maker of the game, Rog? If you've got it on their store, if you've got it on ArenaNet or whatever, you've got to buy the upgrades and stuff on there. But you have to pay money to swap servers and all this and that. Anyway, so I started on Steam and then a separate account, really, because I've been putting a few videos on a different account because I didn't want to put the flat screen ones on the VR one because people get a bit miffed and etc.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch these, it is a Noob Plays, NEWBPLAYZ, little bit of promo there. You can watch me and Rog noobing through this. Well, mainly me asking Rog, how do I do this? How do I do that? But yeah, I was really enjoying it up to the point where we've not played for a couple of weeks now. But I bought the expansion pack, so I've been roped into buying a couple of those. So yeah, it's good. I really like it.
It is. I've got like a level 1 character that I created 12 years ago. That never played that one. I had one character that I got to level 80. So I've taken that character to level. I think I'm on 70 odd with that character now. I had to start a level 1 character, even though that was the idea behind playing with you anyway, Lee. Because I just couldn't remember what were going off. Even I mean, story-wise or actual control-wise and mechanics-wise, and things have changed since I've played it. But yeah, it's good. It's free to play. If if you're not normally an MMO sort of person, give it a go. There's so much content in the free version. It's ridiculous. It's worth having a look at if you like that sort of thing. But yeah, upgraded my PC. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. About probably somewhere between 50 and 100 hours of Guild Wars 2 in the past month. I'm getting a bit obsessed with it. But anyway, onto the new stuff anyway. And just over a year ago, we first got Arcade Time Capsule. And not long ago, we got Arcade Time Capsule 3, or I think 3.5 we're on now.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the arcade emulator by Half Deck. I got his name right this time. And it's stunning. It's absolutely amazing. If you're watching the video, if you're in the UK and you've been to a certain retro VR, arcade.
Hang on a minute, Rog. I didn't even notice that second room. You know, on the video when you first go in, there's a room to the left.
Yeah, that's got all the Japanese cabinets in. Yeah,
I've been on it like a dozen times and I've never even noticed that. Oh God! All right, carry on. Sorry,
but yes. I thought the first time I loaded this up, I did an absolute bizarre double take in the fact that, hang on a minute, I instantly recognised this corridor. It was a corridor, but it was the steps in there and then the doorway. I thought, I recognise this. And then I walked through the door and I say, you see that room to the left with the Japanese arcade cabinets in. And basically, if you've ever been to the arcade club in Bury, you will do a double take when you try this floor in Arcade Time Capsule. But yeah, it's just really good. It's the attention to detail again is just absolutely ridiculous. And I think we were talking about it, weren't we, Lee? The bizarre thing is, one of the most impressive cabinets in it is the Space Invaders cab, which the detail on it is just bonkers. Where
it's the layers, isn't it? It's layered into it. You know what I mean? It's
the original cabinet. I think I'm presuming it's right now. It's set up. I think the invaders are actually sort of projected onto like a sheet. I know it's like a sheet of glass. Must be angled to reflect the monitor, and then you've got like a physical sort of like cutout backdrop behind that.
Yeah.
So there's actual depth there, layered depth.
That's like, it. There, you might. Oh no, I thought you were going to look at it on the video. Then sorry.
Yeah, I should have taken some proper video of it. But even then, it's like you can't really see it properly until you actually sort of stood there playing the game yourself. It just looks so. It's that ridiculous attention to detail. Even if you were playing this on like a MAME cabinet, it wouldn't look as accurate because you'd just be looking at a flat rendered backdrop.
Yeah.
On a 2D screen. Whereas in this, you can see the layered 3D. And it's like, which is the only way you'd get to see that is if you actually stood in front of an original Space Invaders machine.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that ridiculous level of obsession when it comes to detail with Arcade Time Capsule. It's absolutely fantastic. If you've never tried it, I'm sure most people here now listening know what it is anyway. But it's a multi-level arcade sort of experience emulator. You can wander around it. But you do have to provide your own ROMs if you want to play. You can play the games, but put the ROMs in, and all the cabinets are then playable. But as you wander around, all the attract screens from all the cabinets are playing, all the sounds blaring out of it. There's folders in there you can drop music in if you want. The original version did have music in it, but I think obviously for copyright reasons, it doesn't do that anymore. But there's folders in there you can drop your own music in if you want, and it just gives you that amazing sort of wave of sound of an arcade, and it's just. It's
worth downloading just for that, right? Just for walking around. I mean, like Roger said, you can walk around and see all these machines as you can in the video now.
Yeah.
Without even needing any ROMs, you can just see them, hear the music, and it's just that feeling of being in that arcade. And like Roger says, the attention to detail, it's up there with the top 3 experiences in VR for me. Easy.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting better. And this is just one bloke that's doing it because it's his passion and he loves to do it.
Yeah.
It's the lighting on that new level as well, though. Something that is the lighting and everything in that new level that really sticks out to me because I think it's the best looking level that it's level 6, isn't it?
Level 2.
Oh, level 2. Sorry, they added it in. Yeah,
level 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just think it's one of the best ones. That one is now. I can't remember which one was my previous favourite. The one with Shinobi, their smaller room. Quite like that before as well, but. Yeah. This one is really, really good. So yeah, and the things have been moved around a little bit, haven't they? Is that right? He's changed.
I think a few of the machines have been moved. I think, yeah.
Because I think as well, he's trying to convert some of these the sit-down Japanese machines into the full cabinets eventually, isn't he? So he's putting all these games in there and then slowly converting them or adding them in. I'm not sure, but
I don't know. That's the impression you get with it anyway. But yeah. As he manages to do more of the actual proper cabinets for those games. I think things do get moved about a bit, but
yeah,
I say absolutely incredible experience, free to get, but yeah, it's Arcade Time Capsule. I'd say 3.5. I think the latest one on Half-Deck's Discord. Yeah, go and check it out. It's really, really good. Sticking with the retro theme, though, we also got the demo for Aim Assault, which came out a few days back, I think, publicly. The devs were kind enough to give us early access to the demo so we could get a bit of video and whatever for it. And so this is basically Time Crisis in VR, or probably the closest thing we've had to Time Crisis in VR. And yeah, I love this. We got it about a week and a half ahead of the demo release, and I think for that first week, every day I popped in for like 20 minutes just to have a quick go again. And there's basically only one level in the demo, apart from the training course. But it gives you like a daytime and a nighttime one. But it's that have one more go to beat your score, get a bit better on the leaderboards and whatever. And it just works. It just works really well. Unlike a lot of the other sort of Time Crisis style games, like Undercover. I've remembered the name for once. You like Undercover or Crisis Brigade or is it Split? No, I would say Split Second. That might be something else. The one by the guy who did Lunar Flight. But anyway, a lot of those games sort of tended to stick to sort of like teleport, node-based sort of locomotion for most of the games. This hasn't shied away from that. It's you're still on a rail. You've got no control over the movement, but it is smooth locomotion through the level, which is quite good. And it means once while you're traversing the level, you're still being attacked. Unlike those other sort of like node-based games, you can unlock various guns, and each gun has its own high score table as well. And whether you're playing it in single pistol or dual pistol, every single sort of variation has got its own high score table. And I think the idea is that there will be a high score table that takes your overall combined score for like a ultimate high score type thing, which I don't think is implemented yet, or not that I've seen anyway. But yeah, I just really like it. It's had me hooked. To say how short the demo is, I've spent a good few hours in it over the past week or so. What did you think, Gary?
Yeah, this was one that because I saw it, and I think people were posting it on Discord and on Reddit and stuff, and then you mentioned it, and we got access. And the thing is, what I was thinking when I first heard about this, I was thinking, so the pitch is it's Time Crisis in VR, and I was just thinking, we've had about 1 million of these already, haven't we? I mean, it's like you always hear this, it's Time Crisis in VR, and so many games have already done this. So I wasn't really that excited to play this, but this was surprising to me because of it's the best one. I mean, I think this is the best one by far of the ones that I've played. And I think it goes a long way as well. It's surprising. This could be almost like a case study of how surprising it is that just a level of polish how much of a difference that makes to the experience. This because it's a really, really well polished demo and it performs really well. The gameplay is it just feels the best to play as well of those types of games. And I don't know if it's what you were talking about with that difference between the on-rails smooth locomotion compared to the teleport point-to-point kind of way to traverse the levels, but it definitely it nails that feeling of Time Crisis better than a lot of the others anyway. But regardless of that, even taking Time Crisis out of it, I just found it a really enjoyable game. And of course, what it is, it's the high score chasing as well. It's that endorphin rush as well, trying to get the high score, and that's really what keeps you playing it. And they've done a great job. Looking forward to this one of a game where I really wasn't that excited to even bother trying it, to be honest. So yeah, I think this is good. They've done a great job.
Yeah. Did you manage to get a go on this, Lee?
Yeah, I did. I managed to get I like about 15 minutes maybe before I started to suffer a little bit, but I like the environments as well. Because the environments are destructible on it, you can blow a bit of the bridges up, and there was a bloke up on the video we're watching now. If we were near enough synced up, you could blow bits off, and I thought, yeah, that's really clever. I really like how it goes through, and I just echo what Gary says. I like the smooth teleportation as such, the smooth walking it gives you instead of the undercover one where it sort of gives you a bit of storyline, don't it, Roger, and sort of like flashes in front of you where you're moving to, and I can understand why this one is definitely better in Gary's opinion, in mine as well. I thought it was really good. The only thing I'm a bit curious about is the release date of it, which I think is next year, is it, or the end
I
of this year?
I've seen two different things. This is the thing. One of the things we read, it said it'll be early access next year, but then there was something else which said something about the end of this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the next year thing was a leftover thing from maybe something they'd written last year.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it being another year or so. It must be this year, surely.
And didn't I read something about the levels are going to be DLC as well? So you'll get, I don't know, so many in the main game, then you have to DLC as the others. I'm not sure.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. It's a little bit confusing at the moment. I'm sure we'll find out. I just hope they don't overcharge for it. I hope there's a base game with a good amount of levels, and if they do end up going through a DLC route, I hope it's more walkabout mini golf sort of style.
That's what I was hoping for as well.
So I'd have no problem with that. Like I say, I've played this just one level so much. It's just so well done. I think Undercover was probably the best Time Crisis one up till this point. Because Undercover did do the hold down a button to sort of like go into cover to reload, where with this you sort of dip your gun down to reload. If you want to dodge in this,
a lot of ducking in this as well. Yeah, you move side to side, and
you have to physically move in this rather than press the button.
Which even on slow motion, I'm not quick enough to dodge the bullets.
Undercover had the problem, I think, where it put too much of a story in the level during the game. And you'd have the characters talking to each other, and it's just like, get on with it. With this, there's like a cartoony sort of little cutscene at the beginning, which you can instantly skip. And then once you've done that, you're just into the game and it gets on with it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of it. It's like, I know a lot of YouTubers have put out videos saying this is Time Crisis in VR, and it literally is the closest thing there is. It's just good. It's just solid, good, fun arcade shooter. Now, from one extreme to the other, we've got ColdVR. I have played. I know you got this on the list as you playing it, Gary, but I have played about a third of the way through, according to the level select. Okay. But what did you think about it to start with?
Yeah, so I've played around about probably just under an hour now. I went in actually just to try it again just before we went live today. So I thought I'd put in a bit more time into it. So it's super hot in reverse. That's the concept of this. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. They've heard of what this game is now anyway. But so time only moves when if you're moving, then time slows down basically, and it slows down to a very It's the opposite of super hot, but it's also doing it in a different way to how the opposite of super hot would work, because all it really means is that when you push your thumbstick to actually physically like walk in the world, that's when time will slow down to a very specific time. Yeah. It's not slowing or speeding up on an analog or anything like that. You move your thumbstick and walk around, and then time will slow down to a specific time. If you move your arms around, then it won't slow down. It will still move at the same. So Super Hot works differently to that. Super Hot works where if you move, then time will start to move. So it's a different kind of thing. It's a different concept. In Super Hot, you don't have any like smooth locomotion or anything like that. So that's why they've done it based on that, I suppose.
Yeah.
You would imagine, like, the Super Hot devs, when they first came up with that concept of time only moves when you move, don't you think that they would have prototyped the opposite just to see, it would be very quick for them to just go in and think, let's make a quick scene where is it more fun to do it the opposite way? And I'd be surprised if they didn't do that, but then they would have quickly come to the conclusion that it's just not as fun. And that's the problem with this game. It's not as fun because you have to literally be moving your thumbsticks constantly to slow time down. The level's not playable when you're not moving. And that's the concept behind it. So you have to, it says, keep moving, always keep moving. And so I think the problem, a lot of it, is coming down to the fact that the concept itself, I think, is flawed in some ways anyway. The level of polish in this is the inverse of what I was just talking about with Aim Assault. I think the level of it needs more polish as well. That's the other thing. Swinging a sword in this game to break up the enemies it doesn't feel very good. And also sometimes it feels like you're clipping through them and not actually killing them, even when you can blatantly see that the sword seems to have hit them. These kinds of things are little frustrations in it as well. One of the other frustrations is the length of time the exposition it puts at the beginning of the game to even get into it. You're watching these videos of this person which is trying to lay a story out, and I understand I like a story as much as the next person in the game, but it limits you even getting into what is essentially a very simple concept of a game. You have to sit through this video, and I don't believe there's a way to skip. I apologise if there is a way to skip and I just missed it, but I think you might have to watch those videos. And you just think this, I know what the game is. I just want to get in and play and see what it feels like. So I didn't like those aspects. Go on, Rog. If you what did you think? What were your initial thoughts?
I totally and utterly agree. It's interesting you said about, I wonder if the Super Hot devs did sort of prototype their sort of game in reverse and sort of, came to that decision, because you're absolutely right. This just isn't as fun. It's the amount of times I actually died because even though you're moving to slow time down, I found the speed you were moving compared to the speed of the bullets, sometimes I just couldn't dodge them.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I should have been physically moving more. I don't know, but I'm moving with my analog stick and that should be good enough. And the amount of times I died as well from something that there was just too much and I was just dying, and I absolutely never saw what was killing me. So I was having to repeatedly do levels to find, and look in other directions to find out where stuff was coming from. Remember where the things were. There's okay, there's going to be a guy around that corner, up there, down there, behind me, wherever. And then I could get through the level. And I just did not, I didn't think it was bad. I think there will be people out there who maybe enjoy this sort of twist on it, but it's just not for me. I thought Super Hot was just a massively better game. It was more enjoyable. It just let you get on with it. It was sharper and snappier, and even the tutorial level, right? It's what, 30 seconds to a minute, the first initial run through level you do as a tutorial.
Yeah.
And I got to the end of it and died on the last guy, and it put me right back to the beginning of the tutorial level.
Yeah.
And it's like I say, it's not long to get through it, but it's just little things like that, and it's like, oh God. And I thought, I don't want to do it. It really annoyed me. Later on, there's it tries to put a horror twist on it. You get these, the so-called backroom bits, which would just bored me senseless, because look, if if you listen to this before, horror for me it's a hard thing to make me scared in a game. Very difficult. And with that, I was just I'm just running through, just trying to find. You just basically run through these things, trying to avoid these spiky enemies, and just trying to find the exit. And if it doesn't scare you, it's just dull.
Yeah,
it's just boring.
You can skip those, and I'd just say skip them because they're pointless in my opinion. I think they're trying to mix up the gameplay, and I can understand that, change of pace in the game or something like that to mix it up a little bit. So I can understand it, but they're just not good levels. They're not enjoyable levels at all.
They're not. There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing clever about them, is there?
No,
it's just literally find the doorway and don't bump into one of these guys who are slowly moving. Yeah, as long as you're moving, they move slowly anyway. So it's not as if they're chasing you quickly.
No,
because they slowed down as long as you're moving. It's just
I think the flaw as well is the fact that you've got this. Sometimes on some levels you've got this really high tempo music that's playing in the background. What the game feels like to play though is a very slow game, because it forces you to constantly move. Everything is always moving in slow motion, so it feels like a slow game. It's a weird kind of, you would expect it to be, I've got to move all the time, it's going to be frantic, but it's not. It's not that. It's that you're moving and everything's moving in slow motion. So you shoot the enemies, your bullets move slowly, their bullets move slowly, and it's a constant battle of your strafing. You're strafing as you're approaching enemies left and right, so the bullets don't hit you, and then you take them out. And I won't say it's not challenging, because I think it is, actually. There's some parts, but some of that challenge feels like cheating as well, because the bullets don't come out the guns where the guns are, or in the direction that the guns are pointing. It's like you get too close to them, and all of a sudden a bullet will just appear, and the guy's not even pointing his gun in your direction sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And the other thing, you've probably seen it on the video, is it does an absolute thing which they shouldn't even be doing in VR. It does this weird I don't know, it's supposed to be like a ASCII style or Matrix style sort of effect that's sort of like a, character effect, like sort
rubbish.
of blurs,
yeah,
on the screen, like this garbage over the screen is well, it's supposed to be like interference or whatever. And because it's just basically random, it buggers your eyesight up.
It's rendering different things in your left and right eye. Yeah,
and you can't. All of a sudden, your eyes can't focus on anything. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Whoever made that decision is just like insane. I'm sorry, that should not. You should not be doing that. It's an awful experience when that happens.
It feels like
it really wound me up.
Yeah, it did me as well, because what it feels like is they're trying to do this thing where it's like glitching into a simulation. You're playing this simulation, as it explains thoroughly in the initial story sort of build up. But the problem is that effect is just bad in VR. What you want is some kind of thing that looks like a simulation, but isn't just random distortion that is rendering different things in different eyes that don't line up like in stereo in any way. So basically you are getting just random images in both separate eyes separately, and it just it's weird.
It's not something you see very often. I can't think of another specific example. I know people have tried it before, and it's just bad. It's just a bad idea. Do not mess with your vision. Do not mess with your player's vision to the point where they can't actually focus on what you're showing them. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Have you got any positives, Raj? Because we've basically I think we've gone through the negatives. Is there anything? The issue I have is I've played less than an hour and I'm not playing anymore. I don't want to play anymore, so I'm not going to. And it's difficult. I think the game's about 2 hours long. I'm under halfway through though. On the list of levels that I've got, I'm still under halfway through those levels.
I'd say I cleared a third of the levels, and I'd had enough. Mm-hmm. It's like some of the levels you sort of think, oh, this is quite nice. It's like the one with the pirate ship,
that
and whatever.
But
out. You thought, oh, that's good. But then you find out it becomes difficult because there's like planks interconnecting the ships.
And you can't strafe.
You can't strafe, and you're getting shot from multiple angles, and it's like, oh God. And that ended up winding me up. And I think I got a level or two past that, and then that was me done. I just didn't want to play it anymore.
I'm
sure there's people who will enjoy the challenge because it's not bad. I think the interface is bad. I think the interface is awful. The menu system. I finally found out the option on the right hand side where you could actually turn on smooth locomotion, but bizarrely I couldn't get the option to work properly.
No, smooth turning. You mean smooth turning?
Smooth turning. Yeah,
it didn't work for me.
I finally got it to work, but bizarrely the option was actually greyed out as if I'd not got it selected because I toggled it on and off a few times trying to get it to work. Finally thought, I'll give up. But all of a sudden, the smooth locomotion was working. According to the options, it wasn't actually enabled.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but then the slider for changing rotation speed just would not work, whether I tick the option or not for smooth rotation. That's like, oh, come on. It's just broken.
I couldn't get smooth turning to work at all. The other thing, the final thing I'll say on it, I think we've probably bashed it enough. I don't enjoy this because the developer has made this, and I think that in some ways you can't blame them for giving this a try, but in practice it doesn't really work. But the other thing that really irritates me with this is the fact that whenever you get even close to a wall, it will completely go black as well.
Yeah,
I don't even feel like I'm clipping into the wall and it goes black, and this messes up your run when you're trying to move out the way of stuff. And so I don't know.
I said to you before, I think, Gary, that it feels like an alpha. It feels like there's stuff missing. I think that some of the levels designs needs changing, so you got a bit more room. It's not like that on all the levels, but some of them, let's say the pirate ship one, it's just not got the room to maneuver, and it's like I feel like I'm dying and it's not my fault. And that's the cardinal sin for me in a game. It's like, if I make a mistake, fine. But when I'm dying because it doesn't feel like it feels like it isn't me that's making the mistake. I
think the problem is the initial concept itself is flawed, and I don't know if a dev could really make it work no matter what. That's the issue with it as well.
Yeah. I think it's a bit like with Beat Saber, that Superhot came out with the concept for their genre, and they got it right the first time. And now other people are trying to put a spin on it. And it's like, well, you can't put a spin on it because the concept was right in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, of all the titles for a game as well, while I'm sat here freezing because my boiler's packed up. You know, I mean, we couldn't have timed this any better.
Yeah. But I must say, I'm sure there's people out there who will enjoy it, but it's not for me, I'm afraid.
No, no.
Just very quickly, just want to mention for people that's listening on the audio podcast, Jacob from Aim Assault, one of the devs, has popped in and said to clear up the confusion we had about when the game's going to be released. He has put that it is planned for full release, including several levels at the end of this year. So,
nice.
Wish you well, Jacob. And he did say that there's a lot of pressure on them because everybody's amazing feedback. Dude, there's no pressure on, don't put pressure on yourself because we say it's great. Just carry on what you're doing, and the game will be fantastic. So
I must admit, I did send him some feedback on Discord, and he sent me a big reply as well, saying, and half the stuff I mentioned, they went, yeah, we've already done that, we've changed that, we've fixed that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, like, I wanted the hand hiding for the gun if you're only playing in one player. He goes, oh yeah, we'll do that. I noticed a reply to somebody else who'd mentioned the same thing as well today, and that will be in the next version apparently. So you don't have a random controller.
Thanks for popping on, dude.
He seems very open to ideas and suggestions and feedback. So yeah, all the best with that. I'm really looking forward to it. So an oldie which popped up was the Crysis VR mod, which when it appeared, I got totally confused, and for some reason my brain said Far Cry, and it's like, oh, there's a new version of the Far Cry mod, and it was like, it was several days later, and it was like, oh, hang on a minute, no, that isn't Far Cry, that's Crysis. And so I did jump into this, and I went into this before I'd upgraded, and I'd also, for some bizarre reason, I'd managed bizarrely I don't know what I'd done. I'd connected my Quest 3 to the Wi-Fi 5 point I'd got, and I was having problems. I didn't know why, and so that screwed it up a little bit. But it was still pretty good. Jumping out of that plane at the beginning of Crysis is like in VR. It's like, ooh, this is pretty decent.
It is, yeah.
Obviously, I've only played maybe 15-20 minutes of it to have a look at it. But yeah, it seems pretty well done from what I've seen. I don't know if you've played any more of it or not, Gary.
I went in after I recorded, so I recorded a video on my channel for it, and I've been in since then and played some more of it, and it's just a really well done mod. I think that's all there is to say about it. It's another one of those like Halo. The Halo did the same guy do Halo who did this? I heard somebody mention that, but I didn't look into it to confirm it or not, so I'm not sure.
Halo.
Yeah, the Halo.
They did. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. I think this. I don't know.
This person did the Far Cry mod, but yeah,
let us know. They did the Far Cry mod.
Yeah, let us know.
Somebody, anybody know in chat?
Let us know in chat anyway. But somebody mentioned it. I can't remember who mentioned it, but I've not confirmed it. But anyway, it's another one of those where it's really well done. The Halo VR mod was really well done. 6 degrees of freedom on controllers and movement, and it's getting closer to that, feeling like a native VR game. Maybe not all the way there, but very, very close now. And if you've got this full campaign, this full single-player campaign, I think it's... Has it got co-op as well in this or not?
Crysis hasn't. Crysis was always single-player.
Is it always single? Okay.
I think. Did it have multiplayer? I don't know.
I think it might have done, actually. I think it might have done that.
I can't remember.
But anyway, just really well done. That's all I'll say. Like, the game runs really well as well. I will say that it does need a decent enough PC, and there are some stutters here and there. I got it running quite well on my old 3080 with my Quest 3, decent enough resolution. I'd like it to be a little bit sharper. I think that's the main thing. And perhaps when I did try it, it was starting to drop frames at that point. But no, it looks really good. How old's the game? I think I mentioned it in my video. 18.
Oh,
no, it can't be 18 years, can it?
I have the original. I've got the original in the silver box when it came out, somewhere in the house. I've not played this yet because, I'm stubborn and I'm tight, and I refuse to pay the £5 on GOG games to buy it because I know it's in the house somewhere. So I'd have to find that after about 3 hours. Then I'd have to install a CD drive on my PC so I could install it. Maybe put the key into Steam, then I could download it then. But yeah, it's got to be quite a while because that was when I was still buying games. So I'm guessing around about Guild Wars 2 time because I had that as well.
2007. So 5 years before 5 years before Guild Wars 2.
And I tell you, it looks really, really good. I mentioned in that video as well, I think it's the water that lets it down the most, but everything else, like the foliage and stuff, is really good in VR. So yeah, it's an very old game. As we know, this is probably why it still looks good, because it was so difficult to run
way
back
ahead
then.
of its time.
Yeah,
Wasn't it? It was way ahead of its time. And can you run Crysis? That was the popular thing. Can your PC run Crysis? I don't think you might be able to run it now.
Yeah, but the mod itself, really, really well done. Works fantastically well. I'd encourage anybody.
Just to point out to our Artful in chat, in case you missed it, Gary's got a 5080 as well, mate. So, not just PD who's upgraded his graphics card.
Just for anybody coming in now, I've only just got it, so I've not really tested it yet. So we'll see. I'll update next time.
That's probably why it felt so good when you said my old 3080 Ti.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah. Wow. God, it was therapeutic. That sentence.
I feel like a peasant compared to you guys now.
I've got to sell my old 3080 as well. So if anybody wants,
I do a straight swap for my 3060. Seems like a fair deal.
It's not bad.
I'll have to
consult my wife.
2 numbers less.
Yeah. Oh, with all my injuries, Gary, don't you feel sorry for me? Give me your card.
The world's smallest violin. It's, oh dear. So on to Quest. This has been out a while as well now, but Walltown Wonders. So you've been into this one, Gary?
Yeah. I went in. So we did get a key for this quite a long time ago, and we didn't.
It's my fault.
Well,
it's my fault. Can we just say I was supposed to be playing this, and I did agree that I'd play it, and I've just not been able to play it for various reasons, and then I've all this stuff going off, and so very kindly, Gary and Rog jumped in and played it, but I still want to play it.
Gary did. I didn't actually manage to get into it.
Why didn't you get into it?
No, I did. I went to have a look last night, and I think the link was given was a please request access here. It wasn't an automatic thing. It's like I thought this was like late last night. I thought it's pointless now.
Apologies to the dev. It's just me again.
Well, I got access to the key as well. I don't know how I got access to it then. I don't know where that came from. I forget. I need to look into it. But anyway, I ended up with it on my Quest. And so this is really, really well done. For what it's doing, it's a mixed reality city builder light. It's very basic city builder is what it seems to be. And I've played not very much, an hour probably. But it's very handholdy. That's the thing. So going through, it's almost like you're playing a continuous tutorial. And I don't think it's a very long game. I think people have said it's around 3 hours long. So I feel like I've played a decent chunk of what it's offering, really. But it feels very handholdy. And then it sort of moves on to this area. Once you've built enough stuff in your town of these buildings that just cling onto your wall, in various walls around your room, then once you get to a certain point, it's basically managing stuff and managing resources, and then also playing these little mini games where it's like bugs. You set up a farm building, for example, and then these bugs intermittently will start to come out of your wall and try to get to the seeds in the farm. So then you use your controller to shoot them. And it's just a little mini game that lasts probably about 60 seconds to 2 minutes, something like that. And then you're done. But a lot of it seems to be resource management. The reason I think this is really well done is the attention to detail on the models. Having these little dioramas sticking to your wall looks really, really good. But it seems to be, is it really a game at the end of the day? It's not if you're a fan of like really good city builders, this is not going to like quench your thirst for that type of experience in mixed reality or anything. It's because you're going through the motions and managing resources in a very sort of relaxed kind of way. Maybe that changes in the last 2/3 of the game, I'm not sure, but that's how it feels to me at the moment anyway. I'm not going to say it's bad in any way. I think it's really, really well done. And if you I guess it's a kind of thing where it's like a relaxed city builder, a casual city builder, where you don't need to really strive that hard to just make it work, because it seems to just pan out anyway. And you do these other, like I say, you've got these various mini games that you can do, but they're not really taxing either. So I enjoyed it. The only thing is, of course, you need a decent amount of wall space. Now, I thought I heard somewhere that there's an option where you can just sort of map a fake wall into your room somewhere, so you don't necessarily need all the blank wall space in your real world. You can just put a fake wall in there and then play it on that, but I'm not sure. I didn't look into the options to confirm that or not. You can see on this video I'm struggling. I'm working around, I'm placing these buildings all around and trying to get them, and I've not got enough wall space. I think that's the key to it. If I had a load of blank wall space, it would be a lot better, more enjoyable, and you could expand it a little bit more. So I've played beyond this. I played beyond what I'm showing in this video, and you can expand it really well. And it's not just that they're sticking on the wall and stuff. They do things around your room, so you have to forage for these mushrooms and these seeds and stuff, and you'll spray your controller. Your controller will then turn into a spray gun, and you spray this on your floor, and you wander around your real world floor, and then you'll pick these mushrooms in order to plant in your farm. All these kinds of things, and it does a really good job of that. So it's a mixed reality title, exceptional. I don't know if I'll play through it or not, but I think they've done a good job for people that want this kind of casual city builder anyway.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that I look around my room and I'm thinking, how the hell do I play this in here? It's I haven't got blank wall. I've got one sort of wall what I could consider blank, but there's like a digital keyboard and like a sofa in the way as well. It's like and everywhere else is there's just something there, whether it's cabinets or pictures or whatever. It's I just wish something like this there'd be a full-on VR mode as well.
Yeah.
So I can, just like blank it all out. Give me what I need, and let me sort of like freely locomote around an area or something, and play it that way. Maybe I know that's not what we're going for. We're going for this idea of these things are living in your walls and whatever. But
I think that what Artful and Radio Runt have said in chat as well is true. It's linear. That's what it feels like to me as well. And, it's not a very long game. So you're going through the motions. Like I say, it's hand-holdy. It guides you. It tells you what to do. And then it's resource management and tells you to build these buildings when you need to build these buildings. So, yeah, that's probably the main criticism. It's barely a game. That's the thing. It's like you're just going through the motions. That's what it comes down to.
Did you play it with the hand tracking or did you use controllers?
I use controllers, yeah. I didn't even try the hand tracking, no. I know you can do that, though.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed I think PSVR 2's got hand tracking, hasn't it, now, with Waltz of the Wizard? I know people have been going on about that recently, although there seems to be a bit of an argument whether it's better than Quest or not for the hand tracking. But
I don't know. I have played that on hand tracking with Quest, but I've not played it on PSVR 2.
Yeah. Right, so I think that's everything we've been playing. So there was a PlayStation State of Play this week, and 3 of the games on there potentially have got VR support. I say potentially because one of them it's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
So the first one, we've got the Midnight Walk from Moonhood. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is by the same people who did Lost in Random, which is actually a flat game that I mentioned, and we showed video of this on a very early episode of Recentered because I was really taken with the game back then. And I didn't realise either at the time that it was actually by the people who did Ghost Giants as well.
Yeah.
So this is coming to normal flat screen and VR as well. It's a very sort of similar sort of art style to Lost in Random. I've gone for the stop motion puppet type things. And if you followed any of their stuff on Twitter or wherever, where they've posted sort of like bits of making of behind it, where everything in this is like it's fully sculpted and modelled in reality.
It's all clay models, isn't it?
Yeah, and then they create everything as a physical model and then scan it all in. The only thing I've got, which I know will bug me because it always bugs me, is stop motion in VR. I don't like it. It feels juddery. You're in a medium where everything, for me, everything should be smooth. And I know it's the animation and art style, but it can be a bit distracting. I'm still really looking forward to it because, visually it looks fantastic. It's definitely got a style of its own. I just hope I can get over that, but I've got the feeling that I'll be getting over it in the same way that sometimes I just have to get over reprojection.
Yeah.
It's that same thing. Lee, I wind about on the Wallace and Gromit course in Walkabout Mini Golf. I moaned like hell about the animation for Wallace and Gromit because they were done as stop frame sort of juddery animation compared to everything else, and everything else looked better compared to those two characters.
Yeah, see, that didn't bother me in that. I remember you saying about that, and that didn't bother me. I sort of accept it in that, but I can understand it, but it just didn't bother me. And I'm hoping that it won't bother me in this either. But it's difficult.
Doesn't look too strong on this. I mean, whether that's just the video that they put out and whether it'll be different actually in the VR headset or what, I don't know. But it just seemed pretty smooth on here. I do get what you mean, but
it's the character animations.
Yeah,
it's
not as bad as what I've seen before. So
it was like that weird thing with the Wallace and Gromit game as well on Quest, where like the movement of the characters as they moved through the scenery, the movement as the locomoted was smooth, but the animations for the arms and legs or whatever wasn't. And it's just like this weird disconnect. It's like, I wish they wouldn't do it, or at least give me an option. Let me have an option what in between the frame, it sort of tweens the frames between the stop motion frames. Let it fill it in some, give me, it's just, yeah. I'm still looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll play it. I'm sure I'll really like it, but it will get me a little bit, I think. The second one, this is a bit of a bizarre one. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic by Steelwool Studios. This is on June the 13th. Oh, Midnight Walk is May the 8th. There was a release date for that. Five Nights at Freddy's Secrets of the Mimic by Steelwool Studios. This is June the 13th. And now, originally, this was announced as, one of their posts showed it as a flat and PSVR 2 game. Now, Paul, the VR Realm, pointed out the other day that their latest reference to it, their latest post for it, it's got the same information again, but reference to PSVR 2's been removed, which is a bit weird. So we're wondering if it's like maybe the PSVR 2 version won't be there at launch and maybe it'll come later. I mean, the Five Nights at Freddy's games, I think there's been a few of them, haven't there now? It's been a couple of them in VR.
So not my kind of thing, but yeah, I've played at least one of them anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw PSVR without parole last night, their live stream, because they had some information as well directly from the devs apparently, saying I think it was a message. Somebody had messaged them separately, and this was a reply to the message from them. They did say it's not going to have VR support at launch.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, because the way it was worded, it almost could be that it was never going to get VR support, or it's just not going to have VR support at launch, or I don't know.
Well, say VR Realm posted an image of the original, an earlier announcement, and they specifically said PSVR 2 support.
Oh yeah, it did have it originally. In the original State of Play, I think it had it there, didn't it? And then I think they've taken off. They deleted a tweet that had that PSVR 2 reference in there.
That bodes well,
apparently as well. So it might still be coming later. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of fuss around this because we don't know if it's coming or not, and I can understand that. I've got no interest in this anyway, personally. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but the Five Nights at Freddy games didn't do anything for me at all. What did you guys think of them?
I don't understand them. I mean, I've only played maybe one or two. I was just sat looking at some screens and waiting for some monsters to get me. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, my daughter loves the film as well. Wasn't the film released not long back?
The film, yeah.
Actually, obsessed with it.
Right, I've never played any of the games, not because I didn't want to. It's just it's one of those things I never got round to. I think I ended up with one of them in a bundle or on sale. I can't remember, and I've never played it. So I honestly can't comment. I mean, I know they're supposed to be scary, aren't they? So which means, that might be a problem in the fact that I might get a bit bored. I don't know. It depends what the gameplay's like. But can't comment. The film was okay. I thought I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was bad. It was all right. It passed an hour or two.
I've not seen the film. My experience with Five Nights at Freddy's is playing the VR game, and I didn't think it was very good. So
my only experience is actually the film. The only problem with the film was there was that much of a lack of characters in it that you knew who the sort of bad guy was going to be, because it was the only person who it could be. So the twist at the end totally fails. But aside from that, it was all right. I thought it was done well enough.
I mean, quite good, I suppose. On the trailer, it looks like you're going out more into the environments more, than what I played. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some PSVR 2 support on it. No mention of PCVR then?
I don't think so. No. But anyway, the other one, this came a bit of a surprise, is Dreams of Another by Pixel Junk. I used to love the old Pixel Junk games back in the day. The Pixel Junk Shooter, I think, was my favourite. And I hammered the high score tables on that. I got pretty good, high up on the high score tables on the original PlayStation. I think PlayStation, was it PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4? I can't remember. It might have been PS3. Wow. But yeah, Pixel Junk, they've done lots of games in the past. This is a bit of a departure into more of a full-on 3D sort of game. It's like a point cloud type thing. It's really strange. I thought, oh yeah, this looks nice. But then it got to the end of it, and it mentioned PSVR 2 just at the end. And, obviously didn't mention it during the actual state of play or anything. So yeah, all we know about this one is it's coming this year. But yeah, so want to keep an eye on
it. I like the look of it. I mean, I've not seen this trailer. I try not to watch the trailers that we put up before, so I can see a nice surprise as well. And no, I've not seen anything about this game. Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm a big pixel art fan anyway for games, but there's something certainly unique about it.
It's almost got. I know a lot of people have compared it to something like as if it was made in dreams sort of game. That's got that weird sort of style. And I know when it first came up, when sort of dreams got mentioned, and a few people went, oh, are they? And it's like, no, it's nothing. It's nothing to do with that. But yeah, it's another sort of very unique sort of stylized looking thing. It did remind me sort ish of there's an old game called a Scanner Somber on Steam, which got a VR mode added to it. This is going back years ago. I can't remember whether it was DK2 or if it was Rift CV1. And you were in like a cave system, and you had like this scanner, and it highlighted. So it was totally black, but they used this scanner, and it highlighted the cave around you as like a point cloud type thing.
Yeah,
you had to go. Well. You had to find your way through the cave using this thing, and there was a slight horror element to it. And that was good. That was unique as well. Back in the day, as it must have been at the very latest. It was original Rift. But yeah, that was okay. It just reminded me of that, but in reverse, sort of colour palette wise.
I don't know what the gameplay is necessarily like with this. I don't know what it's going to be, because there's different aspects to it. But I mean, like as an art style, it's definitely interesting to see what that would look like in VR as well. But yeah, we'll see what the gameplay turns out to be like.
Yeah. I was just going to say, are we getting through this episode rather quickly?
We are, yeah.
This is bizarre.
We might need a topic.
Yeah,
I can have plenty of rants, don't worry.
If anybody's in chat and they've got anything we think we should be sort of talking about or mentioning, drop it in chat.
It was all the panic of what I'd been up to. And it was should we put 45 minutes into it? And I just sort of rambled through it in about 5 as quick as I could.
That's it. Like half the doc was like Lee, and then it's like, oh, we've got through that.
I didn't want to take all the time.
But more upcoming stuff. This was a major surprise. Civilization VII VR announced out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I've never really played Civilization. I remember I had a mate called Stefan back in the sort of ST Amiga days. I presume that must have been the very original Civilization back then, and he loved that. And it should have been the sort of game I liked, because I did really like turn-based stuff back in back then, if not before. I used to love the original XCOM, or even Lords of Chaos, or even Chaos or Rebel Star Raiders. But when it came to sort of managing a civilization on a turn-based sort of thing, I don't know. I just could never get into it. It always felt like the thing I should have liked, but I never really did. I'm sort of curious to try this, because VR has changed my sort of opinion of some genres just because it's in VR. And I think I'm sure there could be the argument of why does it need to be in VR, but from a multiplayer point of view, it does seem like you'll be able to see, when you play multiplayer, your opponent's avatars stood around the board as their selected sort of, whoever they've picked as their sort of leader. Have you played much Civilization, Gary, at all?
I played some of it back on my Amiga, back on the first iteration of it back then. And I got into it a little bit. One of my friends really got into it. I remember going around his house, and his parents, his whole family got into it. Every time I go around there, his parents were on the Amiga playing Civilization. So, and it is a really, really good game, just on a basic level. I've not really got into any of the newer ones though. I picked up Civilization 4 and played probably an hour or two of that, but never really got into it in a big way. And so, but this one, I'm definitely interested to try it because although I'm not a massive turn-based fan, I've played turn-based games back in the 90s mainly. That was when I was really into them, probably more than I am now. But I like the idea of them, and I like the idea of Civilization in itself because I used to enjoy it years and years ago. So maybe this can grab me, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm so interested in it, because I do remember having a lot of fun with it back in the day. But I honestly don't really know what the games are now, other than playing a bit of that Civilization 4. And you hear as well, whenever a new Civilization game comes out, like 5 and 6 and now 7, it gets panned when it's first released until everybody seems to get used to it. So I don't know if this is a good one. I mean, the flat one is getting a lot of flack at the moment anyway, based on, I think they've changed some aspects of it. And one of the things with this one, this isn't, although this is based on that Civilization 7 flat, they have changed some specific things for the VR version. So you play through these specific ages in this game now. They've divided things up in a slightly different way to my understanding from what they've done in the past couple of games, but they've sped these up on the quest, so you can get through an age apparently in a single charge of the headset. So that's why they've done that, in order to break the game up a little bit in more manageable chunks, I suppose. So I mean, it all sounds interesting. I mean, although I really want to, I will probably buy this. I've got a bit of credit left over, so I might actually just buy this one anyway. Yeah. And just take the hit if it's not necessarily something that does click with me. But yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably do the same. I do want to have a go because, like I say, sometimes something being in VR can flip a switch in sort of like, and I'll go from something I'm not bothered about this to like, oh wow, this is actually really good. It was like, totally different style, but like Euro Truck Simulator.
Yes,
back in the day, I remember I tried it flat. I played it on flat, and I thought, "What is the point?" And then I played it. Then I played it in VR, and it was one of those few games that managed to get me through the DK2 days. Yeah, because I had my wheel set up as well back then, and it was just like it was a great experience back then when when they were desperate for games in VR. It was.
I mean, I've not played any Civilization games either, so maybe this. When it first got released, I was like, "What for? Who's been asking for this?" But I don't know, because I'm not really, same as Gary, not really into turn-based stuff until I played Demio and Demio Battles with Rog, and now I really like them. So I'm really looking forward to when they bring the Dungeons and Dragons one out, and it's just something that never got to me before. I mean, it's supposed to be coming out this year, isn't it? I think. Hopefully that will come out this year. But watching this, I'm like, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it looks interesting enough. But then again, from trailers from Meta, you know what they're like. I'm sure it's not going to look as amazing as what this does, but
what did actually surprise me was the trailer for this was actually 60 frames a second. It's not very often you see that.
I like the option of having it like in mixed reality, because it seems like it's got a separate option to have it in full VR as well from some of the stuff I've seen. But my turn-based strategy stuff is like from the 90s. In the like I say, I played a bit of Civilization, but I played this PC game called Ascendancy, which I was completely obsessed with this. It was like a Stellaris game, but back in the 90s. And I've played a little bit of Stellaris as well, but turn-based has never really jibed with me apart from very specific titles. So I don't know if this one will grab me or not. I hope it does. I really want to get into it because it looks good.
Yeah, exactly the same. I didn't play Ascendancy. I remember Supremacy back on the Amiga. I don't know if you've ever played that.
No, I've heard of that one. I didn't play that one though. No.
I just played SimCity all the time. That's all I can remember playing on Amiga. And then I used to have like the biggest sitting and going, and I used to get bored and I used to be like, right, Godzilla.
Yeah, we all did that.
That's what I used to do on that. But SimCity has been an amazing game. I mean, that's still going now, right? SimCity games.
Yeah. I think Cities is taken over from it now because the last one.
The
Cities one, isn't it? Flat screen.
Just quickly though.
Artful said, go on. I was going to say, Artful said it's always good to have another popular IP in VR, and it's absolutely true.
It is, yeah.
At the very least, it might drag more, a few more people in there. Jindal said, I always lose in Civilization games But you shouldn't be so nice, mate. You need to be more ruthless. That's the thing. Don't be diplomatic. Sorry, go on, Gary.
No, well, I was only going to say, because I'm thinking back to Ascendancy again. I was just going to say, if anybody wants to look up this old PC game, it's a little bit of an obscure one. I don't hear anybody talking about Ascendancy ever, but it was such a fantastic turn-based space strategy game that I played through about 1 billion times, I think, different alien races. So yeah, just it's a recommend for me even now. I have actually got it installed on my retro PC that I've got separately. I've still got it installed, so yeah, I do jump into it even to this day now.
Yeah, nice. So another thing what's coming out, and we've played this before, but it's coming to PSVR 2 and Steam on the 20th of March, and that's Dig VR. This was I really enjoy this. This was one of those games that came out as sort of like, well, it came out last year, and it was like, really, a digger game? And I spent a lot of time in this. I 100%ed it. I finally got all the hidden object things you could dig up, which you basically had to go in daily to get the next one. And I missed a few at one point, so I had to wait for it to loop back round because it was a specific thing every day. So I had to wait a month or so, and I kept going back and I got all those, and it's really good. They've added a few extra things to it since it came out. So you've got like time trials now as well, which weren't there at launch, as an additional thing you can go in and do. It was just unexpected. It's good. It plays well. It's one of those games where the enjoyment is learning to become really proficient at controlling the digger, and it's just, once you get it, it's just satisfying. I just really liked it. I keep thinking about our favourite games last year, what we mentioned the other month, and it was like I thought afterwards, should I said Dig VR maybe, just because it was like a weird sort of thing. But if we'd have done a top 5 personal games list, if we'd have done a top 5, Dig VR would have been in there for me. I just really liked it. It's a nice fun. It's not, it's not aggravating. You can play at your own pace, and it's great. The time trials are just there as an extra thing they added afterwards if you want to go and do it. But when you're playing through the actual normal sort of story mode, it's there's no time limit. You don't have to rush. It's about accuracy and getting it right. But yeah, I can quite see myself going back into it again when it comes to PSVR 2 and Steam.
I bet it looks really good in PSVR 2 as well, because it looked great on Quest, ran great on Quest, so it's gonna perform perfectly on PSVR 2, isn't it? And look really sharp, hopefully, as well.
Yeah. Yes, Artful, I did dig it. I did dig it. Yes. Badumting.
I've got one, Rog, as well. I don't know if you're both aware of this. I got an email late last night, and I'm sure I can tell this information. It doesn't say anywhere on it that I can't. But were you both aware that Into the Radius 2 is coming to Quest 3 and Quest 3S as well this year?
What?
Oh, right.
Yes. I had an email from the devs. I'm pretty pally with them. And they just sent me a quick email saying it's going to be released hopefully in spring or early summer or Q2. And as soon as we can announce a definite date, I'll know it. The price, it does say, will be the same as the PCVR version, which is $39.99. Now, I thought that was a bit, but... They do go on to say that we plan to keep the versions the same, with some things coming first to PCVR and then later to MetaQuest. The first release of Into the Radius 2 for MetaQuest will have a difference in one location. We plan to gap this with future updates. So, yeah, that's coming at some point pretty soon for the Quest 3, which I'm really surprised at, because I played the PCVR version and it was very demanded.
Well, they're doing really well anyway, aren't they, on both of those games? So there was news stories recently where they've made, I think it was 3 million or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but anyway, they've done really well. Basically, that's the story. So I think on Quest, it's going to do well as well.
I'm presuming it'll be multiplayer as well, because you can have co-op on the PCVR version. If they bring that across as well, even more fun.
Okay.
So yeah, I was quite surprised to get that last night. And like I said, it doesn't say anywhere on it that I can't say anything about that. So that's on you, dude, not me.
So the lawyer's got nothing on you. Don't even try.
Yeah. Roger said I could say it.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people will be looking forward to that one then. What's in the bag, Lee?
Yes, as those of you who like to follow us frequently, I do like to go to the local CEX shop and buy a game that I've never heard of before that probably all you guys have. And I saw a tweet, I mentioned it to you, didn't I, Gary, that I think we saw the same tweet, and it was someone talking about a game called Blood and Truth. Is that right? I've got the title right.
That's it, yeah.
And it being on the original PlayStation. So I had a quick look at the trailer and thought, you know what, this looks kind of interesting to me. So I had a quick Google, and it was £8 from the local CEX, and they've got one in. So I thought I'll buy this before it bumps up again. I think when I bought Astrobot, it was like £6, wasn't it, Rog? And it was £22 last time I checked. But I do believe they have dropped the price of that a little bit. But the thing what made me laugh was when I was actually paying for it, and I said, do I get a 5-year warranty on this as well? Because I've got this crazy 5-year warranty on everything at the minute. And the lady behind says, yeah, it's quite strange that they still include that on obscure tech. So, but I thought she's got a point. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how many PSVRs they've got in stock, but yeah, I thought it looked quite cool. And you played this, right, Gary?
Yeah. I played it when it got released back in the day. I played all the way through it. I love it. It's a really, really good game. It is. It's one of those ones which is linear. Again, it sort of guides you through very specifically, and it's you're just shooting, and then you have a cutscene and those kinds of things. It's also got some weird. I'm just going off memory here as well, but I think the locomotion. It's not got any smooth locomotion in it either, has it? Has it got smooth?
It's on rail. It's on
rails. Yeah,
it's on rails, but it's smooth. Yeah,
but you go from node to node, don't you? You select a node, and then it's smooth to that new node.
You can choose a direction at points whether to go one way or another.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
from what I remember, but it's smooth. It's smooth along that path. You don't teleport or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I've added this to the list of all the games that I've got that I've only ever played Iron Man off, so I'm looking forward to maybe getting on this.
It's really good. It was one of my favourite original PSVR games because it's got all these set pieces in and stuff, and the production values are really high. So it's one of those kinds of games, really. Yeah.
James just said, "Did you see Jeff Minter's iRobot game?"
Right, I want to Google it now.
No.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, no, I did. Somebody mentioned this.
iRobot official announcement trailer.
And it's got VR, yeah.
Psychological reimagining of the 80s arcade shooter coming to PC and console.
Oh, it literally is the old arcade game then. Reimagined.
Yeah, the 1984 Atari shooter. iRobot official announcement trailer.
And it's coming to VR, I'm sure it is. Is it in there?
It's a launch for Steam, Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4. Doesn't say anything about PCVR on this one. VR on this page.
Somebody mentioned that.
PlayStation VR 2, yes, it's on the end of the trailer. It's on the end of the trailer, yeah.
Oh, is it right at the end? It's not mentioned on the actual
is it only PSVR 2?
Well, it says Steam, but it don't mention Steam VR. The only VR specifically mentioned is PlayStation. But yes, that looks like a Jeff Minter game, all right.
It does, yeah. Definitely does, yeah. Should probably need to get a video of that, but we've probably finished talking about it now. Anyway.
Yeah, no.
If we want to download the video, we can talk about very briefly. I mean, Tim, if you're listening, probably now's the time to say goodbye, and I'll catch you soon, dude, because I wanted to have a little rant about ID software that we spoke about very briefly at the beginning. I don't know if anybody saw this tweet. It was, I think it was it John Carmack what put it out? Basically saying he'd offered ID software all the Team Beef ports to put on officially on their store for sale, and basically guaranteed them $1 million. Was that right? Have I read that? Have I said the right thing there? And they still said no. So I was, talking about this briefly before we even started. I'm just bemused as to why they'd say no to $1 million to start off with, or is it because they would have to do the upkeep of these or any bugs or anything? Surely Team Beef would do all that anyway, and the games are already done. Right?
Yeah.
The Quake stuff and that. I just don't get why they wouldn't want these on the store. And it just feels to me like another kick in the teeth for VR, whether it's because they've not had any input in it or what, I don't know. But I know Team Beef were working with Carmack quite closely, weren't they, with this? And I just find that to be slightly disappointing. I don't know what you guys think.
It's so annoying, isn't it? It's like, I mean, yeah, whatever the reason is, it just seems crazy. It's like, here's something it's done. Maybe, maybe they'll ask for tweaks to it or whatever. But it's like, yeah, just launch it. They don't have to do anything. It's like, they take their share, and I don't understand. Maybe they just don't want to go backwards. Maybe they only want to push their new versions of like Quake or Doom or whatever.
Well, John, it might be that, but John Carmack said that he felt like he was getting close as well to them doing that. What he was suggesting at one point. So but then you think this is a company. So id Software, who owns them now? Is it? Well, it's Microsoft. Once you go through it's Microsoft, isn't it? Yeah. Now,
well, was it ZeniMax?
ZeniMax. I think they were purchased by Microsoft. Were they? Is that
right? Okay.
So I think effectively it's Microsoft because it goes through Bethesda as well, doesn't it?
Oh,
Microsoft owns those.
I can't remember.
I think id was bought by Bethesda, then ZeniMax bought Bethesda, then Microsoft bought ZeniMax. Maybe, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, but then you start to think. They've got like this marketing plan for all these different games that they're doing, all these different Doom games or whatever. And if this doesn't fit in any way where they can see it fitting in easily with all the marketing around these other games that they've got going on at any one time, maybe that's causing a barrier to why, because there's no downside to them. When you look at it from the outside, you think there's no doubt. Why not just allow it to happen? You're guaranteed 1 million in sales anyway through John Carmack. So it's got to be something to do with the fact that there's complications in the marketing or the branding or how it can fit into their long-term plans of the franchise and all these other things. It's got to play into that. I don't see why they wouldn't do it other than that. And that seems like when you think they could at least make a little bit out of these. And like you say, the games are done. I'm sure that they could refine them and tweak them a little bit more even, given a little bit of funding to get them out there and get official ports and stuff. But they don't even need it. They don't. A lot of them don't need it. Quake.
It feels like it'd be sort of like free advertising, because it's like the main game sites, even if they don't cover VR, they're going to mention it. They're going to say, oh, look, you can play VR in Doom now, even though you've been able to for ages anyway. But you can now officially play VR in Doom. And literally don't have to do anything. It's
And some of the best stuff I've played is Team Beef. I mean, if people listening, watching the podcast have tried any of their games as well. I mean, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, I really love that in VR. It just added so much more to playing the game. And it used to be a favourite of mine back in the day. When it first came out, I don't think Roger's too keen on it, right? But it used to be something I played quite a lot when that first came out.
Yeah,
it was so good in VR, and I've still not finished it because I suck. But I just saw that, and it annoyed me. And I thought, the stuff about End Dreams. Did you see the End Dream stuff? Tim, mate, we're gone by now because it's going to get worse, mate. The fact that they were going to shut 2 game studios, is that right? And open another one specifically to make free-to-play games.
There's the whole thing been going on, hasn't there, about how much sort of like the free to play.
I don't want to put a downer on the podcast, by the way. I'm not doing this on purpose.
Well, I'm playing the iRobot video now, so everyone can look at that and look forward to it anyway in the background. But finally got it.
The End Dream stuff confuses me. I don't know. I think where's the money to be made in VR? The money's not there in games, is it? From all accounts, everyone's disappointed with sales and things, and what makes a lot of money? Being a gorilla. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that's what they're going to do, and I totally understand from a business point of view. It's just not what I want, but they've got to cater for the audience, I guess, that's there to play. And I don't want to go about Horizon Worlds and lower the tone even more, but I nipped in that when Squid Games was on. I thought, I want to play Squid Games in VR because there's some Horizon Worlds, and the experience of that was horrendous with the, the tone of younger people in there, shall I say? Least down section. You're not right, Arthur. You're not wrong there, mate.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Quest is it's a standalone mobile platform, right? It's that, and we know that that's what it is. And the closest thing to that is mobile phones, and that really feels like that's what everybody is. What Meta are sort of resigning themselves to now, the fact that this is mobile, free-to-play kind of things that are going to win, because it's what won on mobile phones. Originally, when you had all these apps that were released on mobile phones and stuff, they were paid. But as soon as people started to cotton onto this idea of free-to-play, free apps, and then with advertising or whatever the people want to buy within the apps themselves, that's when it got massive success. So I just really worry that that's what's going to happen to VR. And it didn't start like that. That's the thing. Like in 2016, when it was PC or PSVR 2, it was enclosed in an area where it was protected from all of that free-to-play stuff to an extent. But the market is now, it's massive. Quest is owned by huge numbers of people, and a lot of those are people that give it to their kids, and so it's a kids platform. It's rapidly becoming a kids platform where free-to-play is always going to win. So yeah. I don't know a way around it. I don't know what we can do other than hope that PSVR 2 or PC gets... well, it's not going to happen. I mean, PSVR 2, it's just not going to happen, really.
Yeah.
So
there was something which I think you posted a link on Discord about the co-founder of, is it Ready at Dawn? About they had something amazing in development for PC VR before Meta shut it down, and then so there's a whole argument about PC VR and should they have focused on it or whatever, and I'm sure most people here sort of think it shouldn't, maybe not abandon mobile, but they should have at least kept PC VR going. And one of the things what was main fan put this quote on there from one of the Ready at Dawn guys. It says, another thing I felt very strongly, it was a huge mistake for Meta to abandon PC VR, not because there's any money in it, because it's the same reason why Porsche makes a GT3 RS and makes their money with the KN, whatever I pronounce that, because you have to have an aspirational place. You can look at VR, you can have VR look like, the cell phone equivalent of gaming. There's nothing wrong with cell phones, you know what I mean? You have to have something that people look at, even if they might not have the means to engage with it. There has to be something that sets the target, and that's what PC VR gaming was. Yeah, it's like, don't put everything into it, but have something there that's aspirational that everybody looks at and thinks, oh yeah, that's the future. At some point, everybody will get to that point. That's the thing we will have. And it's gone. There's just nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I basically said the same thing to you, Rog, when I saw it. Well, I mean, there was about 50 F-bombs in it, but it was kind of paraphrased to what he said. But I think he put it more across more eloquently than I did. But yeah, just to see that they got the most, something unique in VR and amazing than Meta canned it. But I think by all accounts as well, I think they did go on to say that they would have shut down if it wasn't for Meta purchasing them. So there was that. But then why keep them going 3 years making a game for them to can it anyway?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
let's try and lighten the mood.
Well, I was just going to say, what do you think? Because in the long term, then with VR, we're running short, so we might as well get into it with this. Because PC VR, right? I don't think it's going to disappear anyway, like PC VR, because you've got this simulation guys, you've got the people that play racing simulators, the flight simmers and all that kind of stuff. And there's always going to be a niche, and there's companies that survive catering just to these people, So I think there will always be a need for VR accessories and VR headsets catering just to those people. But I just don't see how even Meta, and I understand what that guy was saying about Lone Echo from Ready at Dawn, where he was saying that you need something aspirational. I completely agree with that. But it's almost like you are throwing money away to Meta, I'm talking about. To Meta, it's got to look like you're throwing money away on a platform where they've pumped millions into it already. They funded multiple AAA titles on PC, and it didn't move the needle at all. And I just feel from their point of view, looking at this mobile platform to the extent where they think Quest is where we are now, really what we want is glasses anyway. Quest is a stepping stone to glasses. Then I don't understand why Meta would be doing that. Although I would love it. I would love that guy at Ready at Dawn, what he said. I would love them to do that. when you look at it from their point of view, I don't see, it's like such a minor blip that it doesn't even matter to them to even consider it in the grand scheme of things. But I agree with his point, regardless of that.
Yeah.
But I do worry about VR from that point of view, where we're not going to get as many of we're not going to get the Lone Echo. Are we ever going to get a Lone Echo 2 again, or a Lone Echo again, or anything anything close to that again on PC? We could argue that we're getting things from indie developers that approach that. I think Arcanage is a great game that's come out on PC, but that's a rarity. We don't get that hardly ever, that kind of thing. Behemoth is a great game as well, but these are rarities now, and it needs to be way more than that.
Until the technology moves forward enough that you can play these type of games standalone, so you could get a Lone Echo on your standalone headset, then maybe developers will start to bring that type of thing back. But by that point, what stage will be in the glasses? You know what I mean? That's, like Gary says, that's Meta's end game. I mean, that could be 5-10 years down the line when they've got glasses out anyway, so they won't be continuing with VR games. I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think they will. No,
but the problem with bringing Behemoth and stuff like that even to standalone is the fact that then they've got to charge $40 for it. Yeah. We're hearing this from Metro. Metro came to standalone. Okay, it wasn't the highest fidelity version and stuff. It didn't meet the sales expectations, whatever those sales expectations were. The reason is because a majority of people that pick up a Quest or either are kids or give it to the kids to play, and they want free to play. They can't afford 40 quid for these games. And I think it still comes down to the fact that even if you could get a Behemoth looking as good as it does on PC on standalone, it just won't sell enough. That's the other thing. I don't know a way around it. It's like you hear this thing about mobile, where Capcom put out Resident Evil on iPhone. It can run Resident Evil 8 on an iPhone now. Sold abysmally. Nobody wants it because they've got to pay for it. All these other apps are doing really, really well on iPhone. And I think that's the exact same analogy of what you can put to standalone VR as well. And it is a downer. And look, I'm going to blame you, Lee. You set me on this path.
But... I mean, glad to have me back, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like we said it before, I started getting into VR because of the Lone Echoes and thinking, wow, this blew my mind. You know what I mean? This is what I've always wanted VR to be, and it is like it now. And it just seems like so many years later, we're just going backwards, and I'm not going to get the games that I want, and I'm just going to be stuck in this eternal loop of playing bloody Walkabout Mini Golf forever.
Is anyone...
that's another thing. Me and Rog played Walkabout Mini Golf. We played the Elvis map. Did we mention that?
No, I don't think we did. No.
Yeah, we played the Elvis map. It's kind of cool, right? You're like in a void. I don't think we got a video of it, but I like the harder game. I mean, there was a really funny point in it, Gary. Maybe I'll try and send the video across to you at some point where me, Nape, and Rog were playing this certain hole on a record. It's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm not mentioning it now, Rog, but that was kind of cool. But yeah, you were going to say something, Gary. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm just going to ask the chat, actually. Has anybody got any positive topics we can talk about to finish the show off? But it might be a bit too late. I'm not sure.
Might want to change that trailer before everybody thinks of taking too much LSD.
Yeah.
So we were doing so well until I said, anyway, let's talk about id Software and John Carmack. We were doing so well. But yeah, that's my fault, guys. Sorry. But just, keep off Twitter. I'm still positive at the end of the day, believe it or not, about VR. And I'm just hoping, we'll get a few more little things. Like you say, we've had Alien Rogue Incursion, which I think somebody mentioned it in the chat earlier on. I have heard, now again, this is hearsay, that the Quest is getting a Quest 3 upgrade later next week at some point, whether that's true or not, a graphics update. So I know a lot of people were complaining about the graphics on it, but I mean, like I said, hearsay, but I mean, we've not really played the game itself anyway, have we? So we can't really talk about that one, but that's what I'm hearing.
Arvos and Mighty Coconut aimed for the old fogies.
Well, they are, isn't it? I think it is, but saying that, honestly, 2 rounds of that and I can't move. I can't play no more than 2 rounds. My knees give up. My back's aching, Roger, can't do no more.
Oh dear, it's
Plus, in that as well, if anyone's not been in the shack yet, I suggest you go have a little walk around inside the shack when you first load Walkabout Mini Golf up.
The hub area. It's the hub area, isn't it, where you start out?
Yeah.
Behind the scoreboard. Yeah.
You told me about that, Lee. Yeah, you guided me through that.
Well, me and Rog found something else out, didn't we? And then we managed to sort whatever that was. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, have a walk around. Maybe there's some lower floors, downstairs. Have a look.
But I guess that's it.
I can't think of anything else really. Not unless you want to turn it into a Guild Wars 2 podcast.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, we are early today.
We are.
But we'll be back anyway in a month or so, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, originally we were supposed to be doing this at the beginning of the month, weren't we? But I think we sort of slipped into the middle of the month now.
Yeah, someone got hit by a car like an idiot. So that's my fault.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do the next one, get back on track and go to the beginning of March or something like that. We can probably arrange that for the 1st or the 8th of March or something. Get back on track since this has been
people want that. We could do that. I mean, if you want me back on, that's another thing. People are like, you know what? I don't want you back on. What's been such a bad mood?
I think we'll have to see if anything actually happens. That's the thing, isn't it? We need things to talk about.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, so possibly, I would say if we say the 8th in 3 weeks' time, that moves us a little bit closer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Don't forget to give a like to the podcast as well to reinforce Lee.
I'm sure they're going to do that now.
Yes, please do like and subscribe. It's very, very much appreciated. But regardless, anyway, whether you've been with us here in chat, whether you're listening to us afterwards, thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate your time. And we will see you next time. Cheers, everyone.
See you next time.
Take care.
But I had done the same thing, literally. It's the last shot, I think.
Oh, it's definitely the highlight of the course so far for me.
Last go, I think, this. Oh no.
Tell you now, if you put me there with 100 balls, there's no way I'd fucking be able to throw it again.
It's still more.
That'd be our course. Ah, Roger's on. He's on.
I think that's it. No, it's not it. I just don't know why I can't do it. That's 2 courses I've maxed out on now.
Nice one, Rog. Just context, here's my shop.
Oh,
that was funny.
Yeah.
Oh, well, damn.